Hi, Jane Evans talking to you about children's mental health. And to do that, I'm going to use a saucepan. So if you've ever tried to boil milk on a stove, yes, in the olden days that's what we did. Before microwaves, we put a pan on the stove and we put milk inside it. So to boil the milk, you need to turn the heat up under the pan. And then you need to wait. You need to wait for enough heat to go through the milk, it gets to a certain temperature and then it boils. Now, if you take your eye off the pan and you put the heat up too much, the milk boils over. So why is this like children's mental health and well-being? Well, if you think of the pan as representing the child, and if you think of the heat under the pan as the amount of stress and pressure in their lives, and if you think of the milk in the pan, my fake milk, as their emotional state, then what we've got is we put the pan on the stove, we turn the heat up, and for children that's like everyday life. So how much heat, how much stress, how much pressure is going on in their daily lives? Because all of that, and that comes from us, and it comes from the kind of expectations there are for children in early years, expectations of their development, their social skills, how they look, how they talk. It's all around them nowadays. How well they're doing in tests, what the assessment showed on goodness knows what. That's pressure. Even if the children can't make sense of what they're being assessed for, and trust me, mostly they cannot, they really feel the pressure, the heat under the pan. And that pressure creates lots of emotions inside a child's state. So inside the pan, the milk is like the emotional state of the children. And like the milk in the pan, in order for that not to boil over, somebody needs to be watching over it, paying close attention to it and regulating the stress, the heat under the pan. And that's where we come in, the adults, in the lives of the children. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to their emotions, that we have little check-ins with them, whether they're babies, whether they're 5-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 18-year-olds. We need to have emotions-based conversations with them on a regular basis. And that way, we are down regulating the amount of heat and we're keeping the milk at a good temperature. And so it won't boil over. But what is really more likely to be happening nowadays, because all the adults are so stressed by the pressures of 21st century living, which the human race has not evolved to cope with. It's too fast, there's too much information, we all have information overload, there's so much pressure around earning money, being successful, all those different things, how you look, how you sound, things that really were not such a big deal years ago. They really are nowadays for us and children. So we are much more stressed, we add to the heat under the pan, and then sometimes, you know, people might see the solution as we put a lid on top of the pan to stop the milk boiling over. But in reality, that makes the heat even more intense. So if you think of things like putting screens into children's lives as like putting the lid on top of the pan, or other things that we might introduce into children's lives to make them feel better, if we have not regulated the amount of heat or stress and emotional pressure in children's lives, and we just put a lid on it somehow, oh, don't worry, we'll go on a lovely holiday, or oh, you can join gymnastics, or you can, yeah, these may or may not be great things to do, but the milk is still in the pan and the heat is still turned up. So how do we improve children's mental health? First and foremost, it starts with us. We need to really focus on our own stress levels, how much energy and pressure we're putting around the children. We need to also focus on learning how to be very emotionally available in the children's lives. So not telling them how they feel, but slowing things down, being really curious. And this needs to happen a great deal. This is one of the biggest missing pieces of puzzles. Whether we work with children or we live with children, this is absolutely vital. And then we need to just make sure that children's lives are a lot more simple and they have some downtime just to muck about and to play and to be outside and, you know, be building things out of, I don't know, bits and bobs and laughing and having fun. This is absolutely essential to children's mental well-being. So well-regulated adults, plenty of emotions-based conversations, not with expectation they tell us how they feel, but we start talking about the different kinds of feelings they are, where we feel them in our body, what that's like to have that feeling, and then making sure that we're not using other things just to medicate their emotional states, but that actually they're getting time to really experience joy, fun, with no pressure. So turn the heat down and keep an eye on the milk in the pan so this doesn't happen.